Hello everyone, Diana Rankin here with your soul psychic messages and predictions for the 10th week of the year 2019, and this is for March 3rd to the 9th. Well, let's see what we have for this week. We will get a message from Philip, which is an oracle book. It just has a different wisdom on each page, and we'll do that in a little bit. I want to also give you something from another one of my books, Joy, another process that tells us how to find joy in our lives. I want to first of all ask all of you a couple of things. We are very close. The energy is very tumultuous. And in the US and in Europe, the UK, France, other places around the world, we're very close to civil wars. And those civil wars will become a world war, especially in the US. That said, let's avoid it. Let's not let that happen. And here are the ways we can avoid that. And it is up to us. The first thing I'm going to ask all of you to do is to please every day, instead of the anger at what's going on, see our world from your heart. See the world with love surrounding it, palatable love. That's not to say we want to ignore what's going on. Certainly, children as young as 5 months being in detention at the southern border of the U.S. is horrendous. It's outrageous, and we should all be upset about that. But let's not add more fuel to the fire. Let's deal with that in a calm, loving manner. That may be making a donation to those organizations that are working to change it. It may be sending those children and those parents love, saying prayers for them, asking their angels to be with them. And certainly it means every day in our lives, reach out. And if all you do is smile at another person, that's a lot. You may have read my story in response to one of the viewers who said she was just smiling at everybody she came across. And I told her a little bit of the story when I was, I believe I was 17. I think it was my first year of college, and I was home for the holidays, and I was standing in a store window looking at the Christmas display. And my mother, by the way, raised me to not smile at strangers. I forgot to listen. Don't listen to my mother either. So this lady was standing beside me, and I smiled at her. I said hello. She burst into tears. Wasn't quite ready for that. I wasn't quite sure what to do with that. So I just stood there, being present for her, not realizing what I was doing necessarily, but just knew to stand there and just be with her. She told me a story that I won't go into because it's private for her still to this day, but let's just say she had reason to cry and grieve. And she had said, Daisy, by the way, just came over, this beautiful woman who was dressed in very shabby clothes, by the way. She said to me that nobody ever smiled at her. I was the first person in a long time who had smiled. And that touched her, and she thanked me. I'm not sure that's when I really got the power of a smile. I think I knew that before, but something about that encounter has stayed with me all of these years. And the beauty of that encounter. She gave more to me than I gave to her. That's what a smile does. If all you do in your life is smile at strangers, and I'm not saying if you are frightened of a stranger, you should smile. I'm not saying to be silly about it. I'm saying that as you walk through the grocery store, if you make eye contact, smile at that person. If you're in a car, smile at that person. I remember one time, and this was when I lived in California, and this lady it was like a 5 points, and we were all going toward her, and she was like coming through illegally, but she was obviously confused, and she was just smiling and going like, what it made us do was we all stopped, the horn stopped honking, everybody realized, wait a minute, this is another human being. Let's just smile. Never underestimate the power of your smile. We're going to change the world one smile, one deed, one step at a time. We're going to get through this, and we're going to be stronger for it. But we have to get through it. And right now, this is a difficult time to get through. Pretty much all my clients and pretty much everybody I know right now is going through some really difficult things. Deep grief, financial problems, illnesses that are debilitating. That's taking place right now. On my Facebook page, I said that I don't like posting my number publicly on my timeline. It is on my website, and I would ask people not to take advantage of it, and it's there, so if people need a reading or a session, to call and book a session. But I also said on my Facebook page, and I'm putting this out on my YouTube as well, that if you can't afford a session, call anyway. We may only talk a few moments, but sometimes all it takes is a kind word. All it takes is knowing somebody else is out there and hears your pain. And I'm also going to ask each of you not to necessarily publish your phone numbers for people to call. And I will publish mine at the top where my website information is and where I kind of overview each week. I will publish my phone number there. And I am saying to you, I'm not a therapist, but if you are thinking of suicide, or if you are so despondent that you can't see the next step or take it, please reach out and call me. I'm here. For the rest of us, reach out to those who are unable to reach out and let them know you're there for them. Let them know they're not alone. Suicide is very real right now, and many people are having the choice through illnesses or through self-inflicted wounds to leave. That saddens me. Not because I don't understand it, because I do. I've been there. Years ago, as one of the relationships, I was head over heels in love. We were married, and then I found out some devastating news. And I went and I lived in California at the time, and I went and I stood on the end of the jetty, and I said, "Ocean, my beloved ocean, just take me." A wave washed over me, and I still stood on the rocks of the jetty. And I said, the ocean didn't even want me. What's wrong with me? And that's when I made a decision. And I said, I have a decision here. I can either live and make my life better, or I can jump in this ocean. And if I'm going to live, I'm going to enjoy life, because this sucks. This isn't any fun. So I'm going to enjoy life. So I've been there. I know what depression is. I know what being down is. And I also know what joy is. And as a psychic, as somebody who can also, as a medium, someone who can communicate with those who have passed over, those who have taken their own life, tell me it doesn't change. I just have to do the work now and I don't have a body to do it in. It's not the answer. I don't judge you. I don't condemn you. But I do tell you it's not the answer. I want to look at when I looked at, okay, which process, this is a book that has 52 processes in it that you can use one a week to help you change your life. What we have to have is we have to have this whole tool bag of ways to pull ourselves out when we start sinking in. And this is actually week 1, and it's about attitude. And we hear a lot about attitude, but I want to tell you one of the attitudes I have is when, at the grocery or something and somebody says, have a nice day. And I say, I might as well. The other kind aren't any fun. And at my age, I want to have fun. So that's kind of been my attitude. That's not to say I don't get despondent. It's not to say I don't worry. It's not to say I don't get sick. It's not to say I'm not human. I am every bit of human. And last night, by the way, Daisy is doing much better today. She was sick yesterday. And for those of you who did know about that and said your prayers and your healing energy, she's doing pretty good today. She even ate a little bit. So we're very, very blessed with that. And Petey, one of the kitties, she's holding her own, going through her illness. So we thank you for the prayers and the healing energy you send these animals and those you take care of. So, attitude. I tell this story in here about, this was in Wales, and I was climbing a mountain there called Mount Snowdon. And in climbing up the mountain, I was moaning and groaning the whole way up. Saying, this is too hard. What am I doing? I'm getting too old for this. And groaning and groaning. So, as I'm climbing up this mountain, it's 3,560 feet up. I finally came across a family. And with that family was a woman of a certain age, much older than me. Older than I am at this age, and I'm 73. And they were resting. And so we stopped to talk to them. And as we're talking to them, I learned that the older lady lived at the bottom or near the bottom of the mountain. And she had always wanted to go up the mountain, to walk up it or climb it. It's not a technical climb, it's a hike. And she'd always wanted to go up. There is a tram to take up, and she had done that, but she wanted to walk it up. She wanted to do the hike. And every day she got to, the family got in the way, raising the children and then the grandchildren. And every time she thought she would go, it would rain or be too nasty out. So finally, this was her birthday present, and I forget exactly how old she was. I don't know if I say so here or not. I'm thinking she was like 85. But she was aided by her whole family. It was like on her birthday. And they're climbing up this mountain. And she's got her walker. And they're resting a lot. But her determination, by the way, she did make it to the top. It was at the end of the day. They had started at sunrise. They ended at sunset. But she got there. After talking with that family, I stopped my moaning and groaning. If this lady can do it, boy, so can I. But I had to change how I looked at the situation. So when you're in a situation, here's the practice. How do we even change that attitude about it? Well, we ask ourselves some questions when we're in a funk, or is there a different way I can look at this? Is there a different way I can see this person? Is there a different way I can look at this situation? Is there a different way I can approach this? And simply asking ourselves that question can help us with the attitude. Changing that attitude may help us climb the mountain. Easy work? Oh gosh, no. Not at all. But you know what? I don't want to see a civil war in this country. I don't want to see a war around the world. I'm willing to do my work to stop that. And why do I say I have that responsibility? Because every single thought I put out into the world makes a difference. Every time I smile at someone, it makes a difference. What energy are you putting out into the world? Put the smiles out there. What if? There's this marvelous story, and it's, if I can remember it, it's been a long time. But this is the what if. What if everyone you met was possibly the Messiah? And the reason I say the Messiah has to do with this story. There was a monk in a monastery, and he was friends with the rabbi in the synagogue. And the monk was telling the rabbi how despondent he was. And he said, nothing, we've lost a lot of our congregation, and people just seem really upset and in fear, and it's just a horrible time right now. And the rabbi looked at the monk and he said, now that's interesting. He said, and you with the congregation that has the Messiah among you. Well, the monk sat back and said, Rabbi, what are you talking about? And the rabbi said, oh, well, we've known for a long time that a member of your congregation was the Messiah. The monk went back to his monastery, and everyone he looked at, could you be the Messiah? And he told everyone the story that the rabbi believed that the Messiah lived among them, among this monastery congregation. Well, everyone that monk looked at, and everyone he told, and everyone they looked at, started looking at everyone else. Are you the Messiah? I love that story. Because as you can imagine, the monastery grew. Everybody became very happy. It was a wonderful, wonderful growing of spirit. Let's grow our spirit together. And let's look at everyone. Are you the Messiah? All right, here we go. Whoops. Helps if I turn it up right. Are we thinking left page or right page? And we're just going to flip through, and there we go. I'm thinking left. And it fits. I always tell you the right page, or the other page anyway, but here's our message for this week, my friends. Your deeds speak louder than your voice. Your deeds speak louder than your voice. And on the right, it says, in the security of reality, there is no insecurity. In the security of reality, there is no insecurity. I'm going to let you think about that one, because that's the one you think about. But here's the one I want you to really remember. Your deeds speak louder than your voice. Please do share. Share with all of us how you're smiling at the world, how you're seeing the Messiah in everyone you meet, and what deeds are speaking for you this week. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for the love that you send all of us. We love you, and we are so grateful for the love that you receive from us, that you do receive that. Thank you also for being there for me and allowing me to be there for you. Until we meet again.